Back you to Washington. I'm joined now by Professor Nathan Hultman, who worked at the White House on the Obama administration climate and energy policy team, now director of the Center for Global Sustainability and associate professor at the University of Maryland School of Public Policy. Good to have you with us. You knew this was coming this day, but I wonder what your emotions are anyway.
Well, as you said, this was something that was expected. Trump talked a lot about coal and about the Clean Power Plan in particular during the campaign, and we expected to hear and to see an executive order like this on the books that would seek to roll back the Clean Power Plan and other executive actions over time. Now, it does have some impact on our ability in the United States to reach our environmental, health, and economic goals. The Clean Power Plan, as it was written, did in fact advance a number of clean energy jobs in the United States, as well as protecting public health and driving down the U.S. emissions that lead to climate change. So the loss of the Clean Power Plan, if Trump is successful after what would likely be a couple of years of process to get that to happen, would in fact be a severe blow to that initiative.
So do we know what a direct effect this executive order is actually going to have on the environment?
Well, that's a great question. There's a lot of noise in the executive order. There are a number of actions that he can take immediately that aren't around the Clean Power Plan that have an effect on the United States' ability to advance its environmental and other goals. But the Clean Power Plan itself, the executive order only essentially directs EPA to review the Clean Power Plan. The EPA will then review it, and they will have to put forth a new proposal. Currently, under a Supreme Court ruling, the EPA is obligated to regulate CO2. And so basically Donald Trump and the EPA are on the hook to provide some alternative to what he's now proposing with great fanfare to roll back.
This is an unmistakable signal that President Trump is now sending to the whole world. Are you worried about that message, about what it says about the U.S. concerns over the environment now?
Yes. I mean, addressing climate change is a global problem. That is one reason why the previous administration tried to work both domestically and internationally to advance a global approach to climate change that would not, in fact, would not threaten jobs here at home or threaten the economy here at home. I think it's worth noting that recent DOE statistics show that there were something like 3 million clean energy jobs in the United States, only about 150,000 in the coal industry. So we have some options here, and certainly advancing this Trump agenda will send a signal to the international community. I think they already are aware that Trump is not particularly interested in climate change as a whole, but it will raise questions in others. But that said, I actually do think that the international community is continuing to address their own domestic emissions in their own context because they see the advantages to doing that for their own economy and for the global community.
Professor, we heard President Trump there talk about jobs. It's all about American jobs and the coal industry in particular. But is there not a move in the market away from coal?
Well, indeed, that is the case. The coal mining jobs, I think there are roughly 70,000 or so in the United States today. As I mentioned before, there are many millions of clean energy jobs, even in solar, roughly 200,000 jobs, and all those areas are growing quite quickly. The rollback of the Clean Power Plan, again, it's got to be replaced in some way, but presuming that he is successful in that activity, would provide a few more years of potential coal-fired power plant generation. It is really, in some ways, looking forward, it's hard to see how coal will be the energy of the long-term future in this country and globally. So it is a question of what we allocate our effort to in this country and whether essentially preserving coal at the expense of many kinds of aspects of U.S. economy, human health, and environment is the right choice.
Professor, this was something that Barack Obama cared passionately about, the environment and climate change. It was a centerpiece of, his legacy, really. What do you think his thoughts will be today?
Well, I can't speak for the former president, but I can assert I believe that basically, again, we saw this coming. The Clean Power Plan in itself is an important but not the only part of the regulatory actions and the agenda that was implemented over the past 8 years. There's been a lot of progress, actually, on clean energy costs have driven down quite dramatically, 60% plus in solar, 40% wind, 90% plus in LED technology. So there's a lot of new action that's happened around clean energy for environmental protection and economic growth. So I think those elements will remain. There are some regulatory actions that will remain on the books. Electricity sector is only about 30% of our overall greenhouse gas emissions. So there will be some elements that continue forward. I'm sure that it's for those who worked so hard on getting the appropriate kind of balance between jobs, economy, and environment under the Clean Power Plan. It's disappointing, but again, the political process will continue. There will be new market opportunities, and the American economy will continue to innovate.
Professor Hultman, good to have you with us. Thanks for your thoughts today from Washington.